We had some interesting moves, mostly loans, last episode. Let's see if those players that really need to start playing are getting there. It's the end of year 9, June 30th, 2032. All right, we're going straight to Chris. He's contracted Heidenheim, and he's listed. I think this is going to be short for Chris. In the 31-32 season, he gets 2 substitute appearances on a 6.6. He was loaned out last season to Paderborn and didn't play. He has not played for Heidenheim. He gets 7 international starts. I guess we'll take a look at that. He does a 6.51. It's below. It's over here, right? There it is. It doesn't even make sense to move the camera. Why did they sign him to a 5-year deal? I don't understand why they did that the last time. I still don't understand it. He's not playing. He's listed. Nobody's interested. He's listed for 170K. I am worried that Heidenheim are going to have Chris on the books for another 4 years or 3 years. Sorry, 3 years at this point. It's not great. It's not great. And even with that, he's still a top player for San Marino. This is like the most tragic career because he's also with San Marino, right? It's like, oh, we're playing. Every time he gets to play, they get wrecked. So he does a 6.4 and a loss to Hungary. Just a 2-1. To be fair, you kind of go like, oh, it's not bad. They lose 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, and then 1-0 in the next 4 games. It's also interesting he's kind of switching sides. So he played whatever, I'm not sure. I can't remember what order this goes. That's probably right back here on the 6.0. Doesn't play against Croatia. Comes back against Luxembourg on a 6.5 with the yellow card. And then does a 6.6 in the loss to Liechtenstein. They get a draw against Kazakhstan, but in a friendly, he does a 7.6 there, which doesn't have anything to do with assists, which is interesting. But he did have 4 key passes. Against Moldova, though, he does a 5.9. Keeper does a 5.4. Azerbaijan, he does a 6.6. It's just a sad career. He's considering his options. Needs to play more regular club football. He's needed to do that his entire career. Let's move on. All right, let's go look at Chase. Oh, he's still at PSG. Oh, but there's a bid. Transfer bid to be loaned to Besiktas. Lots of clubs wanting him on loan. He's transfer listed. He's not loan listed. He's transfer listed, but clubs are like, yeah, we're not paying 14.5 million for him, PSG. Can we just loan him? In somewhat okay news, that was like good news, but he got to play in Scotland. Not exactly the same level as the Bundesliga, but he does a 7.02, so he plays well for Rangers. 31 total starts, 18 conceded, 17 clean sheets. That's not bad, right? Because that means in 14 games they conceded 18 goals. It's not terrible. Got some cup starts, got some continental starts. Like, is this the beginning of the resurgence of his career where he can actually get some attention, or is he just going to be the loaned out guy? Like, I guess there are worse ways to make a living, right? Like if you're just doing that. Because it is interesting that now he's had 2 loans. He had a 6-month loan and then a year-long loan, and now he's listed, but nobody wants to pay that much. And so can he get another loan someplace else? And if you look at these clubs, it's like, well, where would you want him to go? Probably Sevilla, La Liga, something like that. Of course, it says his value is 14.5 million. That doesn't mean his value is actually 14.5 million. But that's what he's listed at. So, and there's his attribute analysis for you. I'm just making sure I'm not crazy here. It does say 2 international starts on this page. I think that must get messed up somehow in FM because he has more. I was like, wait, he has more than 2 international because I just went and looked. So I was like, let's go back to this screen first and then I'll show you. So going back to last season, he does an 8.1 against Syria, 6.5 against Venezuela, doesn't play against India or Morocco, so he misses that September window. In November, he's back. He does a 7.7. This is World Cup qualifying. So that would indicate he is starting in World Cup qualifying. Like they see that to be important, right? Against Hong Kong and Jordan, he does a 7.7 in the second game. That's all very positive. But then he doesn't play against Mongolia nor Jordan. So he doesn't get called up in the next batch of games. But then he's back in June and does a 7.8 against Hong Kong and a 7.7 against Mongolia. I'm still very confused as to what is going on with this national team. Like, was he injured in March? I guess we could go take a look at that. Maybe a gashed lower leg against Livingston. I'm like, Livingston? That's Scotland, right? Okay. Out for 9 days on March 21st, which would have been right before these games. So that makes sense. So he's listed as the starter. We still have Pavlesic in the mix, and I'm just making sure he wasn't he's not missed all season because of injury. So it appears that Chase has jumped him in the Australian queue, and also he's playing he played regularly for Scotland, and the only time he missed was for injury. So that's actually really good. This is interesting. Up here, media opinion, undroppable due to form for country. That must be the international opinion. That has nothing to do with PSG. He wants to stay in League One, feels Kylian and Bobby's a vital part of the team, but is now considering his options. Yeah, Chase, you need to go, bro. You need to go someplace else. Any of these places will be all right. I might pick Sevilla. Maybe. Well, I guess we should take a look and see, like, Sevilla finished 8th. That'd be great. La Liga, mid-table La Liga sounds like a good move. All right, let's go see where Marcus, if he moved, where he moved to. Real San Sebastian. Interesting. They finished last season 4th. You know, I've just realized, is that Real Sociedad? And I've been calling them Real San Sebastian and looking like an American fool. Probably. Yeah, I just looked it up. I was like, that logo looks really familiar. Is that like a licensing thing in FM? Because I put a name pack in. Why is it listed like that? But who cares, because Marcus moves for 10.75 million. He gets nine starts. I saw the 28 total appearances at the top and I got excited. 9 starts, 19 subs. He gets 10 goals. Again, minutes. If I could just see the number of minutes. Is that 10 goals all from the 9 starts, or is it coming from the subs? Who knows? 6, 8, 9. I mean, they played him, right? He gets international stuff. He gets in the mix continental stuff. Gets in the mix in the cup. It was a thing for all season, right? Because he doesn't have any minutes or games for Mainz. So he definitely moves for that 10.75 million. I'd say Mainz did all right with that, although they did pay a lot of wages over this period of time just to sell him for 10.75 million. His contract is until 2036, so it's a 5-year deal with a 46.5 million release clause. He's on 38 grand a week. Not bad. Oh, he tears his hamstring in May. Out for at least, he's the current 7 weeks plus however long it takes to recover from that. He has a tight groin as well, but I mean, it's been a while. It's been 3 years since he had like a significant injury, but that's his 3rd significant injury in 4 years. Ooh. And once again, we have a player on a regular starter contract who is concerned. Fantastic. Now, he's probably not on the bench because he's injured for another 1 to 2 weeks. They're playing in a 4-2-3-1. He's got Mara up top as competition, who is delighted, who got 34 starts. I'm just going to do it by strikers here. Vicente Domingo, maybe? Surplus to requirements. That's not competition. Pablo Enrique, who can play up top, but is more of a winger. So you would think that Marcus, I mean, he got 16 total appearances, 24 substitute appearances. Right on the border of regular starter for me. Again, it depends on how long those substitute appearances are. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. He is the top player for Indonesia. Internationally, he plays in World Cup qualifying. He scores the, I guess, what ended up being equalized goal on a 7.3 against Malaysia. They smash Turkmenistan. 3rd appearance for Turkmenistan in this. Oh no, that was the last episode. I'm recording them on the same day. I'm sure you can tell I'm wearing the same shirt. 9.0 with a hat trick. 30th, 53rd, and 69th minute. Not bad. They lose to Iran. He plays and does a 6.7. They beat Turkmenistan again on a 7.1. He doesn't score in that one. Malaysia, he does not play. Oh, is this? Oh, because he's injured. So he's not in the mix in these next 2 games. But they have made it through to the 3rd round qualifying in AFC World Cup qualifiers. So hopefully Marcus comes back. He's playing for Real Sociedad. His injury is all nice and healed up. And they've got some stiff competition here, including potentially Chase. So we'll have to see how that turns out. Next, I want to check on Gustav. He's still with Juve. He's still with Juve. 88 million to 264. That he was at like 40 million if my brain... What? Whoa, he's on 120 grand a week. Okay. Oh, 29 starts. 29 starts, my friends. 697, 6 cup, 9 continental, plus some international. And the league starts are 697. So he's kind of raised his game. It's not quite to that 7.0, but again, as a left-sided center back, I think is where he's playing. That is lovely. So did my prediction that he's essentially replaced Bremer, because isn't that what maybe that's what his media opinion used to say, but he's a star player for his country. It doesn't say anything else about Bremer on the screen. That's because Bremer is gone. And it looks like he is the left-sided center back. So he's finally broken through, 25 and a half years old. He's into the Juve setup. Lovely Lovely stuff there. How did Juve do? They won the league. It's because of Gustav. Clearly, they won it because of Gustav. Thomas Tuchel is the manager. I think I missed that last time. So okay, back-to-back league wins and and the Super Cup win. He just hasn't won the Coppa Italia. Again, we're not going to look at every single one of these. Obviously, he's finally playing. They are in the Champions League phase, and they get knocked out by Porto on penalties. Oh, did he not play? Gustav plays a 7.2 in the first leg. He plays a 6.4 against Parma, and he's not listed in the second leg against Porto. And he starts but has a knock against Napoli 4 days later. Was he injured and they rushed him back for the Napoli game? He does a 7.3 after that. Anyway, they semifinal second leg, they beat Fiorentina. Where's the final? Oh, they beat Fiorentina in the game, but they lost on penalties because of the previous leg that I missed here. Okay, I was like, wait, they won. It's because it's a two-legged thing. Got it. I'm not sure what happened in that Champions League game. He doesn't have an injury, so it wasn't an injury thing that kept him out of that match, and they end up losing on penalties. That seems like a curious choice by Thomas Tuchel. Internationally is more concerning for Gustav, so he plays in Euro qualifiers. He's starting 6.9, plays a 7.0 in the win against San Marino, 6.7 against Luxembourg, 7.1 against Greece, 7.1 in a friendly against New Zealand. Doesn't play against Croatia in November. Coming into 2032, he does a 6.9 in a friendly against the Netherlands. Doesn't play against Kazakhstan. That makes sense. That's probably like, let's bring in some guys 3 days later and like see how they can do against Kazakhstan. They get the win. He comes on as a sub late enough in a warm-up friendly for the Euros that he doesn't get a rating. He starts in a win over Sweden, so we know CDB has at least one loss in the Euros, and he does a 6.9, but then he doesn't play against Serbia, and they lose, doesn't play against Turkey, and they win, and he doesn't play against Spain, and they lose 2-0. And he doesn't have any injuries. So that's odd that he was being used in the qualifiers, and in the first, again, we've seen other players where it's like, yeah, you're not quite there, but like we'll use you as we are warming up for this. But the fact that they subbed him on in the friendly against Poland, and then he starts and they win against Sweden, and then he doesn't play after that is a bit of a head scratcher for me. Because again, if he'd gotten injured, I would understand, but he's just sitting on the bench. And I've checked these two guys, Baton de Balag and Martin Dardai, and he's better than both of them on the comparison screen. And it's the same manager, Blagojevic, so it's not like somebody new's coming in and might have a different opinion. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, clearly it's a great, it's been a great 12 months for Gustav simply because he's now playing. He is starting in Serie A for the title-winning team. And I'd say there's still a chance for those attributes to continue to improve, right? Like, he's definitely like a really good center back. Playing with his feet is a little bit of a mix, the aggression's not there, but overall, he's solid. He's a solid player. So he's finally broken through. Now we have to see what happens on the international stage. Let's go see if CDB moves because he had that interest from his former manager with Man City. He is still with AC Milan. Okay. Nothing crazy happened. He's wanted by Man City and Newcastle. It just says Man City, and then it says Newcastle parentheses transfer. I guess that's because Man City's like, maybe. Last season, same old, 31 starts. Again, just the 2 goals, back to 12 assists, 7-3-3. So he's kind of settled in. Again, 11 international, 11 continental, 3 cup starts. Like, I think he's playing in that DM role. Nagelsmann got sacked because they finished 5th, and now the manager is Luis Enrique. So we'll have to see how he changes stuff. Let's look at the squad here. Again, they've just signed Enrique like 2 days ago. So again, playing that 5-the-back system with 2 DMs. Was it 5-2-3, I think? But who knows what they end up doing now. CDB still listed as satisfied. So that's okay. And I think his value went up like, whatever. It was like 347. It's now 355 million on the top end. So like, he's plugging away. That is surprising. We'll have to see what Luis Enrique does with a player like this. Or is he going to say, we need to cash in so I can completely rebuild this squad? Just a quick look. They made it to the round of 16 in the Champions League. CDB does a 7.0 and a 6.6, and they lose to Spurs there. They lost to Hellas Verona in the Coppa Italia quarterfinal. Where did they finish? They got promoted. They are a Serie B team that got promoted, and they knock out AC Milan. Oh, yeah, I could see why Nagelsmann didn't make it that long. He's now top player for Sweden. He's finally gotten past Rooney. 2031 was a great year if you're a Sweden fan. They win every single game. And that's all Euro qualifiers. Azerbaijan, 7.0. Netherlands, 3-1 win. He's a 6.8. Malta does a 7.0. Scotland does a 6.9. Bosnia and Herzegovina does a 7.4. Close game, 3-2. It takes an 88th minute winner to come back and get past Bosnia and Herzegovina, and then a 7.2 and a 2-0 win over Azerbaijan. Interesting. Then you come in and they don't... Wait, why aren't there March games? Am I crazy? It looks like Sweden just decided to not schedule friendlies. Like, this is Switzerland, one of their opponents, and they scheduled March friendlies. Sweden didn't? What? Guys, just take the window off. I can't believe that. Weird. Okay, they lose to Switzerland. He plays a 6.9. Now we're in the Euros, and they're a little rusty, you might argue, but maybe it was strategic because they've done all right in the Euros. What? 6.9 in that loss to Hungary. He does a 6.8 and scores an international goal, and then they have a man sent off in the 66th minute, and then they end up drawing. They were already drawing, but they weren't able to push on past Turkey. They beat Serbia. CDB does an 8.0, and they beat Ukraine 2-1, and he does an 8.4. So maybe our theory that he only likes the lesser games is untrue, because that's good performances and clutch games here. The group stage, they qualify in third place on 4 points. They get past Ukraine, and now they have Italy to take on. I can't get past they didn't schedule March friendlies. What? Now, what is interesting here that I've just noticed is he only got 2 years left on this massive, massive contract. So do they start actually considering selling him? Again, 25 and a half years old, kind of really getting into that prime age. Does he have one more like monster transfer and monster like contract left in him? Is he going to be one of those €1 million a week type players? That's really interesting. We'll see how the Euros turn out next time as well. Let's go to Spain and check on Greg. He's still with Real Madrid. He's on 325 grand a week. Greg is, I would imagine, no longer concerned. Look at this. I mean, just 33 star. What? Do we have 2 Wonderkids? Okay. In January of this year, he signs an extension contract until 2036 with a 415 million euro release clause. He's got 8.25 million left on that loyalty bonus. Greg, call me. Still got the same agent, but he has finally broken through at Real Madrid. 33 starts, no subs, 6 goals, 7 assists, 3 players in the match, 7-2-1, 10 continental, 12 international. You could see all the stuff down here. He has arrived. I was really worried that this move was going to be I got paid, but I didn't play. It turns out, what has happened to the Real Madrid squad? That's what I want to know. They have lost some players. Vinny Jr. goes on loan to AC Milan. I missed that. Did I even look at AC Milan's squad? I'm not sure. So Vinny Jr. is out of the way. And I'm not sure if there was anybody else that was in his way, but they are playing a 4-3-3. Greg is the starting attacking left winger, midfielder, on an important player contract. He's paired up with Endrick on a star player contract who's making 550,000 euros a week, and Rodrigo on the other side on 525. So that's pretty good, my friends. That is pretty good. Oh, I guess Vinny is back. He was on loan, but now he's back. So it could get weird. What do they do with Vinny Jr. and with Greg? They loaned him out, and now he's back. They win the Copa del Rey on penalties. Greg does a 7.4 in that game. And in the Champions League, they lose also on penalties over 2 legs to Chelsea. In the second leg, Greg does a 7.2. In the first leg, he does a 6.5. But the keeper also does a 6.1. So across the board there. And they only won the title by a whole 3 points. So Atletico Madrid and Barcelona are right on their tails. For some reason, it's still acting like we're in the current season, which seems odd to me. It feels like we should have already rolled over to the next season. It's June 30th. Greg is still somehow the 4th top player for Ireland. Evan Ferguson at Brighton is on 195 a week. I mean, he looks solid, to be fair. Maybe it's that he's been more consistent longer as a starter for his club. Maybe. Greg is listed as the starting left winger. And going back to last year, he does a 7.5 and a loss to Spain. They lose to Turkey. He does a 6.0 with a yellow. Not so great. Does a 7.4 and a draw with Kosovo. The Irish resurgence has hit the skids a little bit in Euro qualifiers, I think is what we could say. Spain, he does a 7.4 and a win. Ireland beat Spain. Let's just pause, time out, roll it back, GHE. They score a hat trick. Evan Ferguson scores a hat trick in the first 15 minutes against Spain. Spain. Lamine Yamal comes off in the 37th minute. They had somebody else come off injured in the 17th minute. Spain did. My brain is trying to process, how did Ireland beat Spain 3-0? That's where we're at. You got Pedri, Rodri, Simon, but Ireland have Evan Ferguson, Greg Bros, and Jason Knight, my friends. And Gavin Bazunu, good old Gavin. Oh, has he supplanted Kelleher? I almost tried to pronounce his first name. He then comes back in a 6.6 against Turkey and picks up an orange injury. Going into 2032, it's now the playoff semifinals. They take on Northern Ireland. That seems like a bad idea, but whatever, having that be the path for those teams. But it works out. Ireland get the win on a 3-1. Greg on an 8.2. Evan Ferguson on an 8.8 with a hat trick again in the first 30 minutes. Yikes. Bulgaria, they get a win, 3-1. Bros plays again. He does an 8.6 with a yellow. So they're into the Euros. He doesn't play in the first warm-up game against Bosnia and Herzegovina. They lose their second warm-up game to Belgium. Greg does an 8.1. And then it kind of goes a little rough, you could say. So 6.7 against Ukraine in a draw, a 6.7 in a loss to Portugal, and a 7.1 3-0 win over Austria. That somehow 4 points is enough in the Euros to get you to the next round as a third place team, would be my guess. And he does a 7.4 with another knock and a 2-1 loss to Serbia. So that resurgence of Ireland, you see the graph here, they were like up to the 27th best team in the world ranking history, has dropped a bit, bounced back to 29th. I'm still processing that Greg is starting for Real Madrid. I think we'll leave Greg there. I am a little worried about the Vinny Jr. coming back star player situation. Maybe they're going to bin him off and Greg can be, because like otherwise you're going to have, it's not like he's a regular star. He's now an important player. So like, surely that means Rodrigo is the one of the two that wouldn't play, right? Like if Vinny stays, somebody has to go though, so hopefully it's not Greg. Last but not least, we take a look at James, who's still with Benfica. My friends, he's back into the gutter. 13 substitute appearances, no starts, 1 goal, a 6.69. It gets some cup starts, gets 2 continental subs. He's involved internationally now. He's got 7 total appearances internationally. Oh, I was really hoping that move to Rem in the previous season was going to be the thing that kind of got him going. It has not been. And I have buried the lead that his contract is up today and nobody has signed him. He could be extended, but again, I would imagine that would have already have happened if Benfica were interested in keeping him. He's on 75 grand a week. He's wanted by Real Sociedad. Now that would be interesting. Not willing to make an offer while prioritizing other positions, but they're at least sniffing around. Who is keeping him out? Sancho's still there. Oh, good grief. Look at this squad. What a mess. What a mess of presentation of data. I don't see a lot of 10s. Diego Jota, who's retiring. Curtis Jones is there. James is still that squad player. He's concerned. Gonzalez is a squad player or an impact sub. He's concerned. So it's not gone how we wanted for James. But the good news is it appears he's not going to stick around in Portugal. So if he moves to, Real Sociedad, again, mid-table, hooking up with another one of our kids, that would be interesting. It's like he's so close. He is like on the cusp. Again, 25 and a half. He's had a well-paying career, let's put it that way. He hasn't had the best production from a career, but he's getting paid really well. That's something. Okay, he's showing as the third sub on the bench for Colombia. Going back to last year, 7.4, gets a goal in the 21st minute against Paraguay in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. Also gets an orange injury, which then means he comes on as a sub, but really late in the game against Venezuela in a draw. So it must not have been that bad of an injury. They also draw after getting a red card in the 59th minute. Gutting. They lose to Brazil. He's not involved in that match against Chile. He starts and they do a 7.5, but they lose despite the 7.5. Coming into the next year, he starts into the 6.8 in a loss to Uruguay. He doesn't play against, no, he does play against Bolivia, but as a really late sub, they get the win. I guess you go, it's Bolivia, we'll probably get past them. They play a friendly against the United States. He does a 6.8 in that loss. Unrealistic based on recent events for the United States men's national team. And then we're into the Copa America. Uruguay does not play in a loss, comes on as a really late sub in a victory over Chile, and does not play in a draw with Curacao. So they've got Brazil next in the Copa America quarterfinals. So again, he's kind of like, he's the almost there guy, both internationally and at the club level. I've just realized here at the end that Greg is now more valuable than CDB. Is it because he's an attacking player? That's so interesting. When I look at the screen, I go, we got two guys whose careers are doing outstanding at the top. We got Gustav, who's finally broken into Juve. So we could have some production there from like okay, we're moving up in the world from a Gustav standpoint. Marcus, Chase, Chris, and James. It's going okay for some, and it's going terrible for Chris. I think you can say James is all right, not great. But the good news is that James has got to move someplace. Surely they're not going to extend him, on the last day. Oh, well, no one came in for you, so we'll bump you out. So I think next episode we're going to see Chase and James in new places. I'm a little worried that Chris is going to stick around Heidenheim and just get paid. Which, again, not a bad way to make a living, right? But my friends, if you've enjoyed this, hit that like button. Thanks for watching until the end, and we'll see you next time.